Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve the consent agenda as printed, or the agenda is printed.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as printed. Roll call vote.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Motion passes. Consent agenda. Number 2, approved minutes for the special session of August 26, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the consent agenda as printed.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Roll call vote.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Motion passes. Number 3, plans for Dan Kester residence wall. Discussion of possible action to approve plans for the Dan Kester residence wall. This wall was formerly a shared wall with the Buildings and Grounds Department shop located at 123 East Main Street prior to the 2018 tornado.
I think I can start on this. Mainly what I would like to discuss today is on your printouts here on the back page or the second page, there is 3 different options for how we rebuild this wall and where a potential property line would go. So at this time, if we basically kept the property line where it's at, there are certain requirements for that wall. If we move the property line 5, 10, 30 feet, we open up some options for that wall that Dan has requested we put kind of into this wall. So really where we're at in planning stages with architectural and structural is, I think we as a group should come to a decision on how we want this wall built, where a potential property line could stay or end up, and then open up our options with the wall at that point. So getting kind of all parties involved together to have some discussion on that was the next logical step. So
What are the cost differences with the 3 options?
cost differences are going to be pretty minimal. A couple of windows, maybe $1,000. They're small windows. They're not operable windows. And the faux windows on the second level, really, I mean, you're looking at probably a wash at that point in materials and labor. It's, I mean, if there were $300 in it, I'd be surprised, honestly. So we're not looking at a big cost difference as far as what Dan would like to see in that wall. The question is, what can we do in accordance to where the current property line is? And if we were to move it, how far would we move it? The windows, if the current property line stays where it's at, which is basically we own the wall and Dan comes up to it and connects to it with his roof. What if the property line were to stay in that general area, we wouldn't be able to put the windows in. It would just, the wall would go up and that would be it. The wall then needs to be a 3-hour firewall because it is on a property line. If we were to move the property line 5, 10, 30, or the entire lot, basically it opens up the options for the windows and how sturdy the wall has to be. So basically, if we move the lot line, our firewall goes down to an hour, which is a lot simpler construction, cheaper construction, less engineering has to go into it. So we kind of save money on the front end if we open our options up, basically for what Dan wants to do.
I don't understand about moving the wall 30 feet to the south.
Well,
Is that into your property then, Dan, or what?
no, to the south is would be where our shop was. So right now, the lot line is at the wall on the north side of the wall. Well, actually, the lot lines in front of the building is cockeyed.
Oh, it was.
So technically, our building was like 4 inches onto Dan's property.
Oh, no. Do we owe you some money? Probably.
It's a wash.
It's a wash.
I'll tell you what, just take care of this for me.
So if the further we move that lot line, the less requirements we have for a firewall.
Mhm.
And 30 feet would basically take a rating pretty much away. I mean, one sheet of drywall.
What's gonna be in that land, in that 30 foot of property?
Well, if that were to
Grow
transfer,
flowers, or what are we gonna do?
why, if we own it or Dan owns it?
Oh, okay, so that's what you're saying. If we move it 30 feet, then Dan wants that property.
Well, if we moved it 30 feet, Dan would own it, and then it would no longer be our responsibility. Now, as to what you would do with 30 feet, I have no idea. I can't imagine you want to mow any grass.
No.
I was under the understanding you did not want to purchase it, though.
I don't have a big desire to purchase it.
So we kind of fall in this funky area of Dan doesn't really want it. We don't really have much of a use for it other than parking.
We're gonna need additional parking with DHS being there and additional snow placement.
That's my big idea for the use of it is we're gonna need a place to put snow.
Yep.
And other than that, it doesn't have a lot of value for us. Now, that in itself has value because we're conserving space for people that we need to provide parking for. But in the reality of it, if Dan owned it and it was just gravel, I mean, at that point, what's the difference? I mean, probably still put snow there anyways.
Anyway, yeah.
So now the 3-hour rating wall would cost what?
That is a good question that I don't have an answer for.
Well, I don't think we can make this decision unless we know what our costs are. Because when I walked in here today, I thought the wall was going back where the wall was.
That is absolutely an option. The hard part is if we basically draw this up 3 different ways. So I have to have a set of documents to go out to bid for. And if I go out to bid for 3 different options, any money that we would have saved not building a 3-hour wall, we probably spent more in time paying for architectural and structural to get some sort of document to bid on. My thought was if we could come up with an idea, ideally, we said, let's do it like this, one way. Now, our architectural fees are cheaper, but if we have to bid 2 or 3 different ways, now we are going to increase costs there. We're already paying $11,000 for basically one option. Now, is it going to be a ton of money to bid the others? No, maybe $1,000, $2,000, but there goes all our savings if we went to a different fire-rated wall.
If I understand you right, Lucas, if we took the windows out. and,
Yeah.
You know, when I asked you about that, I didn't realize the whole fire rating difference and.
Yeah.
You know, and I certainly don't want to open up a big can of worms here. I just want the wall done. And probably the quickest way is more appealing to me than the windows. You know, my thought is I can go buy pretty inexpensive windows and throw them in there while we're building the wall anyway. But if it muddies the water up, I certainly don't need those windows.
I don't think there's a problem putting windows in, but I think it's your cost, not ours.
Well, but the problem, it sounds like, is then it has to be a 3-hour fire rated window.
If the lot line stays where it's at, then we can't put windows in.
Right.
There's no window that meets a 3-hour rating.
I see.
So that's where the
So,
discussion
so the
comes from.
simplest
is
thing might be
lot.
just nix the windows, because it sounds like a 3-hour rated wall is not a big, I mean, I have a 3-hour rated wall on the east side, it just means you put an extra
Yeah,
layer
it's,
of drywall.
yeah,
on it.
it's pretty much 3 5/8
Right.
sheets of drywall. But at this point, it's drywall and insulation and then the plaster material for the eaves finish. But the main difference is in the structural steel stud we use. If it's a 1-hour wall, structural steel studs are nothing, but if it's a 3-hour wall, then that needs to be beefed up, and now it takes more
Beautiful view of Emerson Process Management.
Yeah, I'd rather have the wall go up.
Okay. Privacy.
Yeah. So if you look at your little drawing here on the first page, the gray area is where the wall currently exists. There's a little dotted blue line or a dotted red line as a second option for proposed wall. So the proposed wall is going to be a little shorter than what was previously there, but then maybe drop down a little bit past the awning. And again, that's,
That was to try to keep wind load.
yeah,
down
that's
as
not going
much
to
as
make a
possible.
big difference to Dan. It's a freestanding wall is tricky because, you know, a good north wind, you don't want it to blow over. Now, if it were a brick wall, then it's a little easier, but the cheaper materials and cheaper foundation needs are a lot better for us.
Personally, I'm pretty open on what we do. I want you to be satisfied with what happens here.
I personally think we need to be good neighbors, and rebuilding the wall is going to be, you know, some cost to us. It's not, it's not a ton of money. We're still going to, from the actual cash value request, we're still going to net in the area of what I thought we would initially net on that cash payout. But if we kept the lot line where it was and took the windows out, it would make this probably easier for the project to move forward.
That would
And
be the
that's-
way
and
I'm
that's
gonna
your-
that's
and that's
probably
your
lean.
decision.
Leave it where it is, get it the height he wants. Especially on that second section, if we can take that wall down a little bit past the awning.
Yeah.
To cut down on the wind load.
Yep.
As low as we can go to reduce that wind load.
Mhm.
That would be fine. We need to keep that space for parking and for snow removal. Dan, I told you a long time ago, we had something in the works. Our intention, Kathy and I, was to always pick up the fire station and to not take the north half, contribute that back to the county. Take the cash value from this, use it for other things around the courthouse, beef up the fire station. We're gonna put election storage in there. We're gonna have elections in there, put the new shop in there, have additional storage here, and have it work out for buildings and grounds, have it work out for you, have it work out for the inside of the courthouse to give us some additional space and for us to have control of the property behind our business. So we're not worried about the future of somebody building right to that line and hurting our entrance and egress.
Yep.
I just couldn't tell you.
I understand.
And the city dragged their feet for almost a year.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been a long process, and you know, as we saw from the derecho, that building,
It's got to go.
it's got to go.
I'd like it out of there as rapidly as we can.
Well, that's the So there was two other topics I'd like to discuss in this. The next immediate one would be, should we start this demolition and rebuild before we get the actual cash value payment from EMC and just work that out on the back end? Should we front the money for it? Is the first question.
And we need to know what kind of dollars we're talking before we can answer that.
Yeah, I want it in writing.
Yeah, that's fine.
They'll,
The current quote we have for demolition is under 60 grand. I want to say it's like 56,000, something like that. And then the rebuild on current foundation, which will save us money rather than putting a new footing in. That was the upside to doing the wall like it is. We don't have to beef up a footing for a brick wall. And that allows Dan to use more of his garage space, and we don't have to cut into his floor as much, which is a big plus. So the rebuilding of the wall will be cheaper than anticipated.
Okay.
I just don't know that cost.
I think our estimate on the demolition is exceedingly high.
It's probably high. That was bid shortly after the tornado when everybody was really busy. I think if we went out and bid it again, we'd get a much more competitive price.
I know if we go to Construct, they will want those bricks because they have a machine that grinds both concrete and brick, and they use it for redoing stuff.
Phil,
Yeah, they're the only company that does it. And our bids for demolition and our site improvement and stuff that we did on our project, they were so ridiculously below everybody else. It was just,
Construct was,
oh, yeah, talk to Matt Jensen. Absolutely.
because we had, on the last one we did, we had a company out of Des Moines, I think, and they were half. But that was right after the tornado and
Yep.
everyone was really busy. But I could get you that name.
Yeah, and I bet you, was it Red Ball?
I don't know. That's not my area, but I know a guy that,
Yeah, we had about 5 different bids, and Construct was just ridiculous on it.
I'll get a few different
Yeah.
bids on it. But that's, like I said, the current bid is 56,000. It's right around there. I don't know exactly. But we can do better.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can do better.
I'd like to get get this figure from EMC.
Okay.
Whether we do some more negotiations with them, at least get something in writing.
Well, I have.
And then I'd like this to go as rapidly as possible.
Okay. Yeah, I'll work on that. The next question is, after this wall is built, we haven't had this official discussion yet. Do we then move the lot line that 10 inches and now Dan owns the wall? Or do we want to own a random wall somewhere? I mean, I know it's not random, but.
Are you okay with owning it?
either way is fine.
You're okay with either
Yeah.
way.
We would have to have a resurvey.
We have to have a resurvey, that's just more
That's
expense.
what, that's $1,200?
Yes.
You think it would be that much?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna have to survey his and ours.
They gotta go back to wherever
And
the
then you
point
have to
is.
change,
started.
what is it, the deed and all that.
Yeah,
So, I mean, there'd be legal costs.
that's true. That's right. There is, but.
I don't think we want to own a wall.
Yeah.
No,
Do we
I'd
wanna
rather pay
own-
for the survey and not own the wall.
freestanding
I would too.
Okay.
That's a liability we don't need.
That's was kind of my thought. Now we have to insure a wall.
And, move the lot line, give them the wall.
Yes. I think in the long term, it's probably better off for everyone.
Because years down the road, when you're not sitting in the same room with the same 3 people, I don't want you to have trouble.
And that happens.
Yes, it
Yes.
does.
All right, so I'm gonna go full circle, guys. If you move the line, how far do you have to move until you can go to option 2 and make an easier wall?
Well, that's the thing.
Wherever
Does it
you
have to
want
be-
if you purchase the property.
Well, I mean, does it have to be a full 5 feet?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
How many cars can we park in there after this project is done then? 5? Why? 4?
Probably 8.
8 in line,
I
side by
bet.
side.
Yeah,
Probably.
but if we move it 5
I
feet,
think
we're
it's
not
60
gonna lose much.
No, I wouldn't need to be a
So
full.
if we move it 5 feet and it saves you a buttload in construction costs.
Well, that's the thought there.
I mean,
I mean, if you're gonna move it anyway, and 5 feet will get it for easier construction costs, that might be something to consider.
Yeah.
then he can have his windows.
Yeah, sorry, I should have brought that up earlier in the discussion, but we haven't made the motion yet either, so.
I'm gonna throw a motion on the table to discuss it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we look into the option of moving the wall 5 feet to give us lower construction costs. And upon completion of the wall, we also have a survey done. It will become the property of Dan Kester and whoever he so chooses.
Do you have that, man?
Just give me a
You
second.
said move the wall, I think you meant move the property.
Move the property line and the wall 5
Well,
feet.
No,
The wall would
No,
stay
the
where it's
wall
at.
stays where it's at.
Okay,
Moving property
Okay.
So the
line.
wall.
So the
stays
wall's
where it's
5
at.
feet away from the property line, so it doesn't have to have the fire rating.
that being said, will you allow us to still have parking on that 5 foot?
If you want to get that close to my wall without hitting it,
Yeah,
Okay, we'll come up with something.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you can put snow there or what, whatever. I don't-
Okay. Move the property line 5 feet, build the wall. And if we're gonna have windows, that is at Mr. Kester's expense. Just to get it on the table.
I think that makes the whole process easier. It gets Dan a little bit what he wants. We're not now in the business of owning a wall that's attached to someone else's property. And it should save us some construction costs.
Yeah. Okay, I'll second that.
All right. It's been moved and seconded.
Discussion?
Yes.
Okay. so
You're
back-
holding your chin. You got thoughts here.
Well, I wasn't understanding this to begin with. I thought we were gonna move the wall 5 feet. But if I reread it, you had it written correctly. I just wasn't understanding it. So the wall goes back where it was. Property line comes back 5 feet. Then we got a whole different situation here that allows you more versatility in what you want to do.
And cheaper construction costs for the wall.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And I think the only thing we should add is that 5 feet of property remains vacant. Nothing built on it.
Well, I don't think.
We can handle that when we do the abstract in the,
Construction code dictates anything that goes there has to be, anything within that 5 feet has to be a 3R rated structure, whatever.
Yeah,
it
but I think
is.
what you're
mean,
saying is I can't build a shed there.
correct.
Yeah.
right.
5 foot wide shed.
Now, could you move your little trash barrel thing there? I don't,
Could,
I suppose it could.
yeah.
it's not a permanent structure by any stretch.
Mhm.
That's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be something
Where
that
it's
should
at
be
is-
legal.
I mean, I could, but to the conversation.
Screw up parking.
Yeah, it's gonna screw up, it could potentially screw up. I don't know how you're gonna lay that out.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, my idea at this point is to make it gravel. So it's not like I would lay out any official parking spots in it.
Okay,
Because if we, the upside to keeping it gravel is when snow melts,
Goes away.
it comes down, it percolates down into the ground rather
It's
than
gonna
sitting
settle.
on top of concrete or asphalt.
If you ever want to asphalt it, it needs to settle.
Is that gonna meet all city codes?
It should. There's a gravel strip right beside it next to a city parking lot.
Okay.
That 20 feet we tried to buy from,
Irvine?
That's gravel / dirt, isn't it?
yeah,
Mhm.
You may not
Yeah.
want to call it a parking lot. You may want to just call it space.
Yeah.
Because I would have the same question you would, Dave. If it's a parking lot, I think it has to be paved.
Pretty sure it
Well,
does.
you could just say, we own it.
It's where you push snow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm okay with it. Bill, you got all your stuff?
Yeah, I'm on board.
Okay, I want to read the motion
I
back.
want you to, yes.
Yep, and I'll change it if you want.
Option of moving property line 5 foot south and built wall for lower construction costs. Have area surveyed to get the correct property lines. Any windows in wall are at Dan Kester's expense.
Does that
And the
say
wall
that-
becomes his property when we're done.
Does that say that wall stays where it's at, correct?
And build wall where it currently sits.
Approximately.
Yeah, that way we know that it is his. If we're moving the property line 5 foot south, it's no question that it's yours.
So we're still gonna own a 55 by 30-foot square there. Wow.
It's still 55 foot wide.
I'm pretty
No,
sure
it's
it's 60
60
feet.
feet.
I think it's 60 feet, 60 by 30.
East and west should be 40 feet.
Is it 40?
My building's 40 feet wide. It's about the same.
Okay. Okay, yeah, 60 by 40.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
All right,
Me too.
we have a motion and a second.
Before we vote, does that meet with your wishes and
Absolutely.
can you think of anything we're leaving out to protect both of us down the road? Because this is a partnership type of deal and I want to make sure both sides are happy.
The only thing we didn't talk about, which I think makes sense, is obviously we'll cut the water line off that is in this document that we were supplying to that building when they demoed it.
Yeah,
But we'll cut that water.
you won't have to supply us with water anymore.
Okay. But I'm wondering if we shouldn't mention that because, here in this document, I'm supplying you water.
It goes back to the original thing, but we're not going to have anything there.
Well, you could have a fountain.
Don't want one.
Well,
Yeah, but this group doesn't want one.
Yeah.
Well, when we put your statue in there, a fountain and a little reflecting pond would be really nice.
throw pennies in.
If we can't have it up here, I would at least be satisfied with having it over here.
Did you get the proper,
How often are you unsatisfied? Because I think this is gonna be one of those.
Maybe that's splitting fine hairs, guys, but
I don't know what to tell you.
yeah,
Again, think
let's
about
add
three-
capping off the water.
Yeah, 3 different people here
Is that-
10 years from now.
Yep,
about how that might-
then there's no question.
Is that water line accessible in your basement?
yes, that's what I'll cap it.
Okay.
Because otherwise I gotta dig it up under my garage.
Well, that was
Yeah.
gonna be my next thing.
No, I'll just cap it.
Okay,
And
But I think it probably should read something like, I'm no longer responsible.
no longer going back
And,
to our,
it says in here.
yeah,
it'll
going back to
supply
our
until-
resolution of 2013.
Continue to supply water as long as the water supply line is operable condition.
But it's not going to be in
It's not gonna
operable
be operable
condition.
condition,
So it
so-
really gives us an out.
Yeah, it does.
It's not
It does.
necessary. It's just going to muddy it up.
So it's not part of the motion then. We're not going to add it as part of the motion.
And you don't want to work with Todd Kelly this time? Because that was
Probably not
also in there?
good, no.
Okay, I just wanted to check. We have to have our fun from time to time.
All right, is that all clear to everyone then? And is there any other discussion?
I can't think of any.
Take place? Roll call vote is right. Do we need to read it one more time or are we?
I can. Option of moving property line 5 feet south and building wall where it currently sits for lower construction costs. Have area surveyed to get the correct property lines. Any windows and wall are at Dan Kester's expense.
All right. With that, let's do a roll call vote.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Motion passes. Very good.
Back to work.
I will probably buy 2 windows, so you guys have the rough open for engineers.
Okay, we'll just have to make sure they're hour rated.
Oh, 1 hour fire rate.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we can talk to, somebody at Marshall Glass or something.
Yeah.
Or you could probably buy them in small windows too.
Yeah. That's probably what I'll do.
All right. Are we ready for adjournment? Next regular session is September 29, 2020 at 9:05 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the board of supervisors office by Thursday, September 24, 2020 at 1:00 p.m. There being no further business to come before the board, the meeting is adjourned at
36.
9:36 a.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming over, Dave.